When neuroscientists went searching for that feeling of you in the brain, that sense that someone's in there experiencing everything, they found something mind-blowing. There's no command center, no little person inside making all your decisions. What they discovered instead was a beautiful void, a space where all your thoughts and feelings spontaneously appear and disappear. It's like a magic show with no magician, just the magic happening by itself. Ever wonder why meditation feels so impossible at first? Here's the number one mistake that trips up 99% of people. And once you get this, everything changes. You're mixing up two totally different things: the voice in your head and the thing that's aware of that voice. Think about it. Have you ever noticed that you can step back and watch your thoughts go by? That's the first clue that you might not be who you think you are. Let's get clear about this voice. Your inner commentator. It shows up in 3 different flavors, and once you spot them, you'll never see your mind the same way again. First, there's narrator mode. Always telling the story of your life, explaining everything that happens. "This always happens to me," it says. Or, "Things would be different if only." Sound familiar? Then there's critic mode, judging every little thing you do. It's got an opinion about everything: how you look, what you said, what others think of you. It's like having a super picky roommate living in your head, one who never sleeps and loves to point out every tiny flaw. And finally, there's hype mode, sometimes pumping you up, sometimes tearing you down. "You've got this." Cheers one moment, then, "Who do you think you are?" the next. This voice is obsessed with defining exactly who you are. But have you noticed how those definitions change faster than the weather? Here's where it gets really interesting. The inner commentator feels special because it seems to stand apart from your regular thoughts. It's like a separate voice, always watching, always having something to say. That's why so many people mistake it for their true self. But wait, there's something else watching too, something far more fascinating. Ever notice what's noticing your thoughts? That's the observer. And unlike your chatty inner commentator, it never says a word. It just watches. No judgment, no commentary, no attempt to change anything. The observer sees everything, including that inner commentator, but never gets tangled in the show. It's like the difference between being caught in a storm and watching it from behind a window. Want to experience something wild? If you sit with this observer long enough, really tune into it during deep meditation or in moments of complete quiet, you'll notice something that'll blow your mind. The observer isn't even yours. That same awareness watching your thoughts right now, it's the exact same awareness watching my thoughts, your neighbor's thoughts, even some strangers' thoughts on the other side of the world. The only thing that changes is what's being observed. The thoughts, feelings, experiences passing through. But the space that notices it all, identical. Think about that person who drives you crazy, or that someone special you're falling for. Deep down, beneath all the drama and stories, the same awareness is looking through their eyes that's looking through yours right now. How's that for a perspective shift? It's like realizing that all the characters in your dreams are made of the same dream stuff. Your inner commentator comes from your mind. It's shaped by everything you've been through. Your upbringing, society, all your fears and dreams and secret hopes. It's like a greatest hits album of your past experiences, playing on repeat. Sure, you can train it to be more positive, more supportive. With practice, that inner voice can become more like a wise friend than a harsh critic. But if you want to know who you really are, you've got to look somewhere else entirely. Look for what doesn't change. While your inner commentator is busy time traveling between past and future, the observer is always right here, right now. While the commentator talks and talks, the observer just is. Your favorite philosophers might call it pure consciousness. Scientists might call it awareness. Your skeptical friend might roll their eyes. But the more you tune into it, the more obvious it becomes. Here's a reality check that might shake things up. Everything about you has changed since you were a kid. Your personality, different. Your body, completely different cells. Your likes, dislikes, beliefs, probably unrecognizable. But that thing that's been watching the whole show, that hasn't changed one bit. The awareness that was there when you were 5 years old is the exact same awareness reading these words right now. Think about that. There's a part of you that time can't touch, that trauma can't damage, that stories can't change. That's not just some nice idea. That's a game changer. It's the same awareness that's been here since stars first lit up the cosmos, the same silence that holds every sound. Want to make this your default mode? It's easier than you might think. The more you notice the observer in action, the more natural it becomes. Like learning to ride a bike or finding the beat in a song. Practice makes it automatic. Start with something simple. Next time you're washing dishes, notice what's aware of the sensation of warm water on your hands. When you're walking, notice what's aware of each step. Know how some people always need to be the center of attention? Your thoughts are like that too. They'll do anything to grab the spotlight. One thought says, "Pay attention to me." And before you know it, another thought jumps in saying, "No, I'm more important." But once you start living from the observer, those thoughts become like background music at a cafe. There, but not running the show. The greatest minds throughout history, from quantum physicists to meditation masters, have all pointed to the same truth. Not because they copied each other, but because reality keeps showing us the same thing. Consciousness is fundamental. Scientists studying the quantum world discovered something strange. The act of observing changes what's being observed. Sound familiar? It's like what happens when you watch your thoughts. The very act of watching changes their power over you. Your sense of self is a story your mind writes and rewrites, like a novelist who can't put down the pen. But the observer, it's the blank page that holds every story. It's what you are before the story starts. And here's something cool. You can test this right now. Try to find the edge of your awareness. How far does it go? Can you find where it begins or ends? The more you look, the more you realize. Awareness has no boundaries. When thoughts come crashing in like waves, most people either fight them or get swept away. But there's a third option. You can be the ocean. Thoughts, emotions, sensations, they're all just waves. Some big, some small, but all made of the same awareness. You don't have to push them away or pull them closer. Just notice what's noticing them. Right now, as you take in these words, something is aware of them. That awareness isn't moving, isn't changing, isn't trying to be anything other than what it is. It's been here all along, waiting for you to notice. It's like the space in a room, always there, but usually overlooked because we're so focused on the furniture. When you get this, really get it, something profound shifts. Not in awareness, which never changes, but in how you experience life. That problem that's been keeping you up at night? Just another thought floating in awareness. That emotion you've been fighting? Just another wave in the ocean of consciousness. Even that sense of I that feels so solid. Watch closely and you'll see it's just another appearance in the space of awareness. Your thoughts will keep thinking. Your emotions will keep flowing. Your body will keep doing its thing. But you'll know yourself as something bigger, the space where all of this happens. Not in some abstract way, but as your direct, lived experience. It's like watching a movie and suddenly remembering you're also the screen. Everything appears on you, but nothing stains you. Next time you're caught in a thought storm, pause. Notice what's noticing the thoughts. When emotions flood in, notice what's aware of them. In any experience, notice the experiencing itself. It's always here, always aware, just waiting for your recognition. Here's the beautiful part. The more you notice it, the more it notices itself through you. The inner commentator will keep commenting. Let it. That's its job. The critic will criticize, the narrator will narrate, the hype man will hype. But now you know what you really are. Not the voice in your head, but the awareness that hears it. Not the show, but the watching itself. Always here, always now, always aware. And maybe the wildest part? This recognition doesn't take you out of life. It puts you more deeply into it. Colors get brighter, sounds clearer, feelings more vivid. It's like switching from watching life in standard definition to experiencing it in high-def reality. Everything's the same, but somehow completely different. The more you rest as awareness, the more you notice it everywhere. In the pause between thoughts, in the space between breaths, in the silence behind all sound. It's not something you need to create or achieve. It's what's already here, what's always been here, what couldn't not be here. You don't need to search for it, because you're looking from it. You don't need to understand it, because you're understanding with it. This is what every spiritual search has been pointing to, what every peak experience has been hinting at. Not something to find, the finder itself. Not something to know, but knowing itself. Not something to be, but being itself. The simple, obvious, overlooked truth of what you are.